But before we go to that, I just wanted to hear the thoughts of my guest, who's Imam Ajmal Masroor, a London Imam and relationship counsellor. A very good afternoon to you, Ajmal. Assalamu alaikum. Hope that you're well on this day. What does Christmas mean to you?
Good afternoon, Ali. Assalamu alaikum to you and your listeners. For those who don't know the meaning of Assalamu alaikum, it basically peace be upon you all, just in case they think we are having a personal greeting that nobody understands.
Indeed.
Or sending coded messages between myself and Ali. We don't want to do that, Ali. Or we don't want to. I don't want you to receive any more tweets saying, "What are you guys talking about?"
That's very true.
So the question about what does Christmas mean to me? Well, Christmas means a celebration of a particular festival of a particular people, and it happens to come from Christian origin, though over time various other cultures such as pre-Christian cultures of Europe, pagan and many other, have also been embraced into Christmas celebration. Christmas celebration marking the birth of Jesus on the 25th of December, though not conclusive.
No, indeed.
In my own area where I live in the north of London, I've got lots of Greek neighbors who are celebrating it on the 7th of January because Greek Orthodox Church and many Orthodox churches celebrate it in January.
Absolutely. And
also in the Middle East, they will be celebrating it at a different date. So whenever Jesus was born, obviously we can't be arguing about the date itself, but what we could be pretty sure of is that a significant person on the face of this earth was born, and his birth changed the entire story of humanity forever.
Yep.
And that's Jesus. So what it means for me is a great prophet of God was born on this particular occasion, and his birth should be marked with joy, with reverence, with God consciousness, and should be lived by the teachings of what Jesus really stood for. So that's what Christmas would mean to me. Does it really happen today in the same way? Well, not really, because Christmas has become a commercial activity for most people. It's a time when you spend a lot of money. It's a time when I think Coca-Cola has associated its brand with Santa Claus and all the other colors. And it's lost the religious and spiritual value from the majority of our society. So those who still have the spiritual value, I obviously commend them. Those who don't, and the fact that they are thinking about Jesus, I also commend them too.
It's very interesting, Ajmal, that you outline it this way, because I completely and utterly 100% agree with you. You've outlined it in a very elegant fashion, that it is a religious festival. I do think that people should focus on the religious element of it. I think it's become far too consumerist. But do you feel, Ajmal, that if you say this, I mean, you've heard some of the callers in the last half an hour being very condemnatory towards Mo Salah, for example, who just put out a tweet, and he often posts his family in pajamas. He hasn't done that this year. He's talked about Gaza, and he's wishing people a Merry Christmas. Is there anything really wrong in doing that if you are a Muslim from a religious point of view?
I think it stems from misunderstanding around what does Merry Christmas really stand for.
Yes.
If you say to somebody, have a fantastic Christmas, be happy on this day.
Yeah.
Linguistically speaking, there is nothing wrong with what's been said.
Yeah.
What some Muslims object to is, are we celebrating Christmas therefore? Of course you're not. As a Muslim, celebrating Christmas, if it is to celebrate Christianity as we see it today, which is Jesus as understood to be Son of God, that would be completely contradictory to Islam.
Of course.
And no Christian or a person of other faith would insist on Muslims doing that. I think Christian people understand when a Muslim neighbor says, have a fantastic Christmas, they understand the neighbor is being nice and cordial to them. Just like we Muslims like when our neighbors say Eid Mubarak to us when we're celebrating
But this
Eid.
is the point, Ajmal. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if somebody is reacting to somebody saying Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, or whether you say it in English or in Arabic or in Urdu or any other languages, you're being just good and civil. That's the second point.
That's right.
And the third point from myself, Islam is a religion of compassion. Islam is a religion of cordiality. Some Muslims complain that Christians don't celebrate Christianity or the teachings of Jesus as Jesus taught them.
Yeah.
Well, look, when Quran talks about Christianity, it talks about Christianity in two different ways. It firstly recognizes that there are people on this earth who celebrate and who embrace Christianity in the way they were celebrating and embracing it, including Trinity, including attributing divinity to Jesus, attributing him to be Son of God. Quran recognizes that that particular practice exists. And then God says, despite the fact that Muslims as well as Islam categorically says that is not what Jesus taught and that is not Islamic teaching, Islam still Quran still gives, God still gave the Christians a massive accolade. He called them Ahlul Kitab, people of the book.
Absolutely.
And he said to the Muslims, you can marry into Christian families. Muslim men can marry Christian women. And it also says you can eat their food. So while God knew that Christians had already deviated from the original teachings of Jesus and already were doing things that were contrary to the Islamic teaching, God was still giving them that accolade and still told the Muslims to be kind, cordial, and respectful to their fellow Christians.
You see,
when Muslims don't understand those principles, they get stuck in their emotions and they get stuck in their words.
But you see, Ajmal, you've outlined something that a lot of listeners from multiple different backgrounds would, I think, understand, resonate with. It's very simple messaging that you're giving, nothing to be offended by in the arguments that you've outlined. Why is there a sensitivity amongst certain people about the fact that if they wish Merry Christmas, as you say, compassion, it's a cordial greeting, it's like people saying Eid Mubarak to Muslims. Why do certain people feel that that means that they are embracing a religious Christian festival in a way that would actually transgress the teachings of their own faith?
I haven't heard a conclusive, decisive argument presented to me in support of that particular view. However, I can understand the socio-political backgrounds. So remember, for a very long time, Christianity was used when colonizers went around the Muslim world, rampaging Muslim countries, decimating Islam and Muslim civilization, country after country. And the remnants of it still remains in many of the Muslim countries where dictators and despots are ruling those countries by the support as well as direct partnership with the Western countries or Western nations who are Christian. So some Muslims still have that huge hangover or huge pain, as well as the memories of the past of what actually Christianity stands for when it was used as a political tool to subjugate people. And secondly, at the back of what's happening in the Holy Land where Jesus was born, the very land in which Jesus was born. Ali, do you know if Jesus was born today and if his mother wanted to walk between the place where he was born to Bethlehem, from Bethlehem to the place where she came and spoke to her people, she would not be able to walk free because there is the barrier, there is that grotesque wall that Israel has put up. Even Jesus' mother could not walk freely in the Holy Land today. So when Muslims look at the political context, when they look at what's going on in Holy Land, they see nothing but hypocrisy and double standard. And I think some Muslims then say, we don't really have any appetite to say Merry Christmas to you when you guys are being inconsistent and you are turning a blind eye to the plight of the Palestinians and you are now celebrating Christmas. So that's probably the sentiment, not that it justifies them being rude. You don't have to be rude to anybody.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, Ajmal, that you mention that, because that is a socio-political argument that you're making there, or at least an understanding that some people might have that view in terms of practicalities on the ground of what's happening in the Middle East. But I tell you, in the last half an hour, we've heard people who genuinely think that from a religious point of view, this is something that is not acceptable. And for me, that concerns me in the sense that if you honestly believe that this is actually going to shake the foundations of your own religion, or it's going to be in any way not in line with your own teachings, I think that this doesn't help the cause of the perception of Muslims in this country. I think it's not really good PR, to be honest. I mean, it is, as you say, you're meant to be cordial and compassionate and courteous.
The basic bottom line message of Islam is that of oneness of God, number one, and your relationship with God. Number two, your relationship with your fellow human beings based on fairness, justice, compassion, and charity. And number three, your relationship with yourself. You look after yourself, you're good to yourself. In all realms, I am supposed to be conscious and conscientious. And Islam gives a fantastic parameter of cordiality, kindness, and compassion for all. Look, as far as I'm concerned, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, Prophet Moses, from Abraham to Muhammad and all the other prophets in between and before, they all had the same message, and that is, we should be good to ourselves, we should be good to our fellow human beings, and we should be good to God. Would they have fought and argued with one another? No.
Yeah.
Would they have celebrated together? Yes. Would they have stood up against oppression and aggression? Yes. Would they have called for peace and universal fairness and justice? Of course, yes. So my call for everybody, my fellow Christians and Muslims, on this very day when Christians are celebrating Christmas, is remember this: the Holy Land needs our collective effort. The world needs us to be peaceful, and world needs us to be more compassionate, more charitable, and more loving to one another. It's one world we have, Ali. We can't kill each other, and we can't destroy each other in that process.
I think that is a very, very powerful and clear note to end on. I'm very grateful, Imam Ajmal Masroor. Thank you very much indeed for your time and for your thoughts. And I'm wishing you a Merry Christmas as well, in a cordial, courteous manner. Thank you very much indeed.